My girlfriend warned me. My ex is coming to the party. Behave yourself, or we're breaking up. I replied, I'll behave. When he arrived, I greeted him, shook his hand, and said, she's all yours, buddy. I was just leaving. Her party ended the moment I walked out the door. My name is Ryan. I am 31 years old, and if anything defines my life, it is that I am a planner. I am an architect, and I have an almost professional obsession with blueprints, structures, and exact details. I like things clear, carefully thought out, without absurd improvisations. I had been with Haley, who is 28, for 2 years. She was the exact opposite of me. She lived guided by the vibe, by spontaneity, by that chaos that seemed beautiful to her. For a long time, I believed that this difference balanced us out. I was the firm foundation. She was the striking and somewhat unpredictable facade. We had been living together for 8 months in an apartment that I adore. The lease was solely in my name because I signed it before she moved in. I covered about 70% of the rent and paid all the utilities. It was my decision. I make good money, so I never considered it a problem. Haley worked as a part-time stylist. Until that moment, the arrangement had worked well for us. I do not remember exactly when I decided to throw a big spring party, but when I do something, I do it seriously. That was not an improvised gathering. I spent weeks planning every detail. Besides, I am quite the tech enthusiast. I had recently finished my most ambitious project, a fully customized smart home system that I called Aura. It was not a store-bought device. It was a dedicated server hidden in the hallway closet, running scripts that I programmed myself. It controlled every light in the apartment, the zone music, and 3 large digital art screens in the living room. Honestly, it was impressive. Haley was fascinated with the system. She always said that it would be our ace up the sleeve for parties. I had invested about $2,000 in the digital screens. I also set up a bar cart with about $800 worth of high-end tequila, whiskey, and gin. The playlists were scheduled by the hour, and the digital art slowly rotated between minimalist landscapes. Everything was ready. Everything fit together perfectly. And then, 3 days before the party, on an ordinary Tuesday, Haley dropped the bomb. She had been distant all day, barely looking at me. She finally spoke, with the same casualness as someone commenting on the weather. Hey, Julian is in town. I felt my stomach drop. Julian, 29 years old, her ex. The one from the breakup that, according to her, had shattered her soul. The one who supposedly meant nothing anymore, although his name came up way too often in conversations. Uh-huh, I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. I ran into him, she continued, and I invited him to the party on Friday. I stared at her. Excuse me? You invited your ex to our party without asking me. God, Ryan, don't overreact, she said in annoyance. It's no big deal. We are friends, and we are adults. He wanted to see the new apartment. It would have been weird not to invite him. I took a deep breath. I don't feel comfortable with that. This party is for our friends. It's weird, Haley. I don't want him here. That was the key moment. I see it clearly now. Her expression changed, and she crossed her arms. Her gaze stopped being defensive and became defiant. He is coming. I already told him yes. Then uninvite him. I'm not going to act like an immature person just because you feel insecure. He is my friend, and he is coming. It won't be a problem unless you make it one. Then, she took a deep breath and said the sentence that changed everything. Behave yourself. Seriously, if you start with your paranoia, it makes me think we have a problem. So behave yourself, or it's over. Just like that. 2 years of a relationship reduced to an ultimatum over a party. I watched her closely. She was not nervous, and she was not hesitating. She was testing me. She had already made a decision. She just wanted to see if I would cave. Then I felt something unexpected, calm. The anxiety disappeared all at once. It was like reviewing a blueprint and finally spotting the structural flaw that had always been hidden. You're right, I said quietly. Her face softened immediately, and even a small satisfied smile appeared. I knew you would understand. I didn't clarify, I added. I mean, you were right. I will be very professional. Friday arrived. I was the perfect host. Tyler and Scott, my best friends, arrived first. Then colleagues from the firm started showing up. The apartment looked spectacular. The ambient lighting bathed everything in a warm amber tone, and the music was elegant pop, perfectly balanced. The screens showed minimalist landscapes in slow transitions. The bar was a hit. I was charming, helpful, and relaxed. I mixed drinks and made jokes. Haley shined in a red dress that, I suspect now, she chose specifically with him in mind. At exactly 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Haley shot me a tense look. "Behave," she whispered. I smiled. "Relax. I'll handle it." I opened the door. There was Julian, spot on. Exactly as I imagined him. A bit scruffy, with that aura of an introspective artist, probably still trying to find himself. "Hi, I'm Julian." I offered him my best host smile. "Julian, welcome. I'm Ryan. Glad you came. Haley was looking forward to seeing you." I shook his hand firmly. "Great place," he commented. "Thanks. We love it." Haley appeared, almost floating. Julian hugged her, a hug that lasted a couple of seconds longer than necessary, and then he gave her a kiss on the cheek. I watched. Mature adults, of course. Then I turned to her without losing my smile. "Well, he is here now. My job is done. Have fun." I walked past, and, right next to her, I grabbed my jacket from the coat rack and put my phone in my pocket. Her smile vanished. "What are you doing?" "Stop the drama," she added quietly. "There are people here." "I'm not making drama," I replied calmly. I turned to Julian, who looked completely confused. "She's all yours, buddy." And I walked out. Tyler and Scott saw everything. They know me well enough to know that this was not an impulsive scene. As I walked down the hallway, I heard the door open behind me. "What the hell is going on?" Tyler asked. "It's over," I replied. "She gave me an ultimatum, and I accepted it. Let's go get a beer." Scott looked back at the apartment, where the music was still playing as if nothing had happened. "It's not my party. It's not my problem," I told them. My colleagues saw the host leaving, and then they saw my two best friends following him. The mood changed immediately. We got into the elevator. I pulled out my phone and opened my custom app. I tapped a script I had programmed years ago as an inside joke. The file was named System Shutdown Host Mode. Tyler looked at me. "What are you doing?" "Being professional," I replied as I pressed the button. As Tyler told me later, what happened in the apartment was almost cinematic. First, the music died abruptly, cut off mid-beat, as if someone had unplugged the heart of the party. Then, all 32 smart bulbs changed at the same time. They went from warm and elegant lamp lighting to their default setting, 100% sterile white brightness at 4000 Kelvin. The place stopped looking like a modern lounge and started feeling like an operating room. Next, the 3 digital art screens shut down. Pitch black. About 30 people stood still under that unbearable white light, blinking without understanding what was happening. Total silence. Tyler told me that Haley started desperately pressing the wall control panels that were now nothing more than useless plastic. Without the server, there was no magic. Julian looked around and said something like, "Wow, how weird." My colleagues, blessed social strategists, got the message immediately. "Look at the time. I have to wake up early. I think my cat is sick. I forgot I have an early meeting." In less than 10 minutes, all my friends and coworkers had left. The big party Haley had imagined was reduced to her, Julian, and 4 of her friends, standing in a silent, blindingly white apartment, with a mountain of ridiculously expensive alcohol getting warm on the counter. My phone started vibrating before I even left the building. "Turn it back on right now? You are a childish idiot. Turn on the lights. You ruined everything." I replied to her with a single message. "You told me to be professional, or it was over. I chose for it to be over. Have your things out of my apartment by the end of the month." Then I blocked her number and went to drink whiskey with my real friends. A week later, the consequences were immediate. Tyler, Scott, and I were in a quiet bar when my phone started vibrating on the table as if it had a life of its own. There were calls from unknown numbers and messages from her best friend, Brittany. "Haley is crying. You are a monster. You humiliated her. She invited a single person, and you destroyed your relationship over it. You are pathetic." Another message arrived right away. "Turn the internet back on for her. She cannot even watch TV." Ah, yes, that little detail. My server not only controlled the lights and the music, it also functioned as the apartment's main router and firewall. When I executed the shutdown script, everything went down. No Wi-Fi, no streaming, no nothing. The apartment became a digital black hole. I ignored them. I spent the weekend at Tyler's house to clear my head. We ordered pizza, turned on the console, and and spent the night playing video games. For the first time in several days, I managed to feel calm, as if I could breathe normally. However, I knew that calm would not last long. There was something I could not keep postponing. The apartment lease was solely in my name. Legally, Haley was not listed as a tenant. In practice, she was a long-term guest. In my state, after 30 days of living in a place, a person can start claiming certain occupancy rights. Therefore, I had to handle the situation carefully and do everything the right way. On Monday, I unblocked her number solely to deal with logistical matters. Haley, I am serious, I wrote to her. The relationship is over. I need you to move out before the 31st. Let me know when you are going to get your things. Her reply came right away. No, you cannot be serious. Are you kicking me out over a party after 2 years? I live here. I answered immediately. You do not live here, I corrected. You lived with me, and that ended when you gave me that ultimatum. Her tone changed immediately. You are a monster, a cold and calculating person. You tricked me. No, I said calmly. I told you I would be professional, and I left when you disrespected me. That is not a trick, it is a boundary. I am not leaving. This is my home. You will have to evict me, and I will tell everyone what you did. Then her mother, Brenda, got involved. Honey, she said with that condescending tone she always used. Haley is devastated. I am very disappointed in you. You are 31 years old, and you are acting like a child. Brenda, with all due respect, I replied. Haley gave me an ultimatum. I accepted her conditions. Don't be so literal. She was just upset. Julian is a friend. You were jealous. Now you have left her homeless. Homeless? I retorted. She is living in my apartment, not paying rent, without internet because I cut it off, and, apparently, with her ex staying there. That does not exactly sound like someone who is destitute. There was an awkward silence. Julian is staying there? I asked, though I already suspected it. Well, he has been supporting her through this difficult time, she stammered. I saved that detail for later. She is no longer my responsibility, I concluded. She has until the 31st. I will be following all legal procedures. I hung up. Then the serious manipulation attempt began. On Wednesday, Gary, the building manager, called me. We had always had a good relationship. We received a complaint from your unit, he explained. Haley says you abandoned the apartment, that you are unstable, and that she is afraid you will return. She asked us to change the locks. I felt my blood run cold. She was trying to lock me out of my own apartment. Gary, I am the only one listed on the lease, you know that. Haley is my ex-girlfriend, not a tenant. She refuses to leave, which is why I am staying with a friend to avoid conflicts. Besides, she is hosting an unauthorized guest, her ex, Julian. Gary sighed. I thought so. I cannot change the locks for someone who is not on the lease. But this is a mess. She is trying to claim tenant rights. At that moment, my highly organized side kicked into action. This was not a reality show. I could not just throw her things into the hallway. Step 1. I hired a process server. It cost me $150. He officially served Haley with a legal 30-day eviction notice. It was not a text message. It was a legal document. The clock started ticking. Step 2. Retrieve my important things. This included my server, my work computer, which is a pretty expensive custom tower, my espresso machine, and my liquor. I sent her a clear message. Tomorrow at 10 in the morning, I will be coming to the apartment with a police escort to collect my personal property. She did not reply. On Friday morning, I showed up in the lobby. 2 police officers were already waiting for me. Hello, are you the leaseholder? One asked. Yes. Then let's go. We went up. I used my key, but the door was deadbolt from the inside. One of the officers knocked loudly. Police. The leaseholder is here to retrieve his belongings. You must open the door. It took a few seconds, but she finally opened it. Haley was there. She was wearing my bathrobe, her hair messy. Behind her, on my couch, Julian was sitting shirtless, with absolute nerve. You cannot just barge in here, she yelled. The officer, a woman who had clearly seen worse situations, sighed patiently. Ma'am, he is on the lease, you are not. We are just here to keep the peace. Let him collect his things. Julian tried to act brave. Hey man, this is not right. This is our place. I stared at him. Is your name on the lease? Did you pay the $4,200 in rent last week? Then sit down and shut up before you get included in the eviction too. He sat down. Tyler and Scott were with me as witnesses. Everything was legal and orderly. I went straight to the hallway closet and calmly began dismantling my server rack, the brain of the apartment. Haley watched me, pale. You are taking that. The lights won't work. They will be normal lights now, I replied. You will have to use switches like in 1995. Tyler and Scott packed up my desktop computer. You can't take the computer, she protested. I use it. You have your laptop. This is my workstation. I paid $500 just for the graphics card. It is mine. In the kitchen, I unplugged my $900 espresso machine. No, that is ours, she muttered. It was a birthday gift for me. I have the receipt. Next, I grabbed a box and went to the $800 bar cart. I packed away every bottle. The good tequila, the rare whiskey, the premium gin. Julian tried to intervene. Buddy, the liquor. I did not even let him finish. I grabbed a bottle of single malt whiskey, looked at him, and placed it in the box without saying a word. In 15 minutes, we were done. As I was heading toward the door, Haley was finally crying. You are so petty. You are stealing. This is cruel. I stopped. No, Haley. This is mine. Cruel was the ultimatum. Cruel was bringing your ex into my home. I am just taking what belongs to me. I showed her a copy of the legal notice. You have 28 days left. After that, the sheriff will come, and believe me, he will not be as professional as I am. And I left. I left them in a white, silent apartment, with no Wi-Fi, no coffee, and no liquor. I knew that this was not going to end easily. 3 months later, the dust finally settled. True justice is not spectacular. It is slow, bureaucratic, and expensive. Did she leave when the 30 days were up? Of course not. A week before the deadline, Brenda called me again. You cannot go through with this. If she is evicted, it will go on her record. It is permanent. You will ruin her life. She has had 30 days to find something, but Julian left her. She is alone. She cannot pay a deposit, and she has no savings. I was not surprised that the scruffy artist disappeared as soon as the free alcohol, technology, and luxury apartment ran out. It is not my problem, I replied. She is no longer my girlfriend. She is an unauthorized occupant. You are completely heartless. What exactly did she do for me? I asked. Goodbye, Brenda. The deadline expired on Friday. I went with Tyler after work. Her things were still there, and the door was locked. So on Monday, I was in a lawyer's office. This is real life. I had to pay $500 just to start the process. We filed an unlawful detainer lawsuit. It took weeks. Finally, we got a hearing date. Haley did not show up. We received a default judgment in my favor. Then we had to wait 5 more days for the sheriff to post the official notice. In total, it took 45 additional days after the initial 30. 45 days of sleeping on Tyler's couch while paying rent for an apartment I could not use. The day the sheriff went to evict her was surreal. I was there with the landlord and 2 deputies. Haley was screaming from inside. You cannot do this. This is my house. You are a monster. You are obsessed with me. The deputies did not argue. Ma'am, you have 15 minutes to gather essential items. The rest will be removed. She completely lost control. She screamed, cried, and threw herself on the floor. They had to physically escort her out. It was sad more than dramatic. It was pathetic. Then came the worst part. When we went inside to inspect the apartment, I saw the true level of her resentment. It was not a mess. It was deliberate damage. They had scratched the hardwood floor with something sharp, leaving long, deep marks. They had poured red wine all over my $4,000 couch. It was beyond repair. They had smashed the digital art screen still on the wall with a hammer. In the kitchen, they had emptied an entire bag of flour and ground coffee down the drain, and they let the water run until it formed a solid, cement-like paste. The building manager estimated the damages at around $11,000, plus the $4,000 for the couch. I simply stood there observing. And the funny thing is, I was not angry. It was like inspecting a structure that you already knew was poorly designed from the start. The damage only confirmed what I had understood the night of the ultimatum. It all came down to boundaries. She wanted to test how far she could bend me. She discovered that I do not bend. I was not angry. I was cold. On the kitchen counter, under a half-empty bag of fast food, I found a handwritten note. I hope it was worth it. You ruined my life, so I ruined your sanctuary. You will be alone forever. Interestingly, That note was the best piece of evidence I had in this whole process, and I handed it straight to my lawyer. Because here comes true justice. It is not swift, and it is not dramatic. It is slow and methodical. First, the landlord was furious. He used my security deposit, which I had paid, to start repairs immediately. Then he filed a lawsuit against Haley and the unidentified occupant, also known as Julian, for the remaining $11,000 in damages. He had my testimony, the police report, and everything documented. Next came my lawsuit. I gathered absolutely everything. The receipt for my $4,000 couch, the date and time-stamped inspection photographs, the lawyer's invoices, the process server's receipt, and the filing fees. I filed a small claims court lawsuit for the maximum allowed, $10,000. She was officially served again, this time at her mother's house, because she had to move back into her childhood bedroom. The hearing was last week. Haley showed up accompanied by Brenda. She tried to change the narrative. Your Honor, he was controlling. He locked me out, harassed me, and turned off my heat. The heating was central gas. It was never turned off. The judge flipped through the file. I have the unlawful detainer judgment right here. You were evicted by the sheriff. Now let's talk about the damages. The apartment was already like that, she insisted. He just wants to get money out of me. He is rich. He is an architect. I have nothing. I remained calm. Your Honor, here are 30 time-stamped photographs taken the night of the party. The apartment was in perfect condition. Here are the inspection photos with the sheriff's deputies. Here is the receipt for the $4,000 couch, and here is a note written by her. I handed him the note. The judge read it slowly, then looked up. I ruined your sanctuary. Ma'am, did you write this? Haley turned completely pale. There was not much else to discuss. The judge ruled in my favor for the full $10,000. The consequences were clear. Haley now has an eviction on her public record and a small claims judgment. Her credit is destroyed. It will be extremely difficult for her to rent anything decent for years. She is 28 years old and living back in the room where she grew up, with her mother who still makes excuses for her. I have already started the wage garnishment process from her job as a stylist. It will probably take me years to recover those $10,000, maybe in small payments, but I will recover them. As for Julian, the landlord also included him in the damages lawsuit as an unauthorized occupant, so the eviction also shows up on his record. From what I heard, he moved back to his hometown. His art career evaporated as quickly as it appeared. I lost money on legal fees, I lost my couch, and I lost time and peace of mind. I am not going to reinstall the smart server. I am not going to replace the digital screens. Strangely, I am enjoying the silence. I now use normal bulbs, normal switches, and nothing smart. It was not an elegant victory. It was a dirty, expensive, and exhausting process. But it was definitive. She thought she had control. She thought she could give me an ultimatum, and I would accept it without consequences. She thought I would be professional in the sense that suited her. Quiet, compliant, moldable. She wanted to see if I would blink. I didn't blink, and that was that. Comment. Setting personal boundaries is one of the most profound ways we can show respect for ourselves. Sometimes, walking away from a situation that compromises your peace is the healthiest choice you can make. True strength is not about fighting back or matching negativity when someone crosses your limits. It is about calmly standing your ground and handling difficult moments with quiet dignity. We all deserve connections built on mutual trust, clear communication, and genuine care. When you choose to protect your own well-being, you naturally create space for true healing to begin. Taking responsibility for your own happiness means refusing to let chaos dictate your life. I hope you always find the courage to prioritize your inner peace and walk away from unnecessary drama.
Thank you for taking the time to watch and support our channel. It truly means a lot to us.